And as simple as it might seem, try it, and depending on where you are working in your body, where you're in your practice, if you haven't had any injuries, you might find it a little bit challenging. Right? More challenge, we would bring one arm out to the side, and then lean over. And that's testing your balance, and then come back to center. And then leaning aside. Now imagine you're going through your different stances, right? So hip width stance, one foot stepping forward, standing on a tightrope, heel to toe, or on one foot. Okay, much more challenging as we progress. Okay. You can also do bringing the body forward and coming up. And bringing the body forward and coming up. And continuing from there. So that's one variation we can try. The next thing you can do is you can mimic what you would do in a walking pattern. Right? So one leg forward, one arm back, in opposition with the arms and legs. Right? So leg forward, arm back, and we can kind of just do both arms in opposition here. It's not a bad thing. Right? So practicing your balance. You'll notice that your standing leg foot has a little bit of wobbling that happens. What happens is the muscles on one side, as your body feels itself falling, the muscles on one side push into the floor to right yourself. And then when you start to go the other direction, the muscles on the other side push into the floor to right yourself. There are a lot of small muscles in the lower leg that are working continually to right yourself. Right? So depending again on how challenged your balance is, you might feel that a lot, or it might be barely perceptible. Right? So as you're doing more challenging balancing exercises, you'll start to notice, you'll see those wobbles come up. And we want those to come up. We want to, that's our way of training our proprioception. So you can do one arm forward, one leg back. So this is in one direction of motion, front and back. And we're going to go ahead and do another direction. We're going to do out to the sides. Right? So this is the sagittal plane that we're moving in, right? Front, back. We're going to go ahead and go into the frontal plane of movement. We're going to bring the leg out, opposite arm across, and then come across. And leg out, opposite arm open, and cross. And out, and across, and out, and across. We can also do a rotational direction. So rotation is in the, let's see, so it's sagittal, frontal plane, and then the transverse plane. So to do a transverse plane motion, we'll do a twisting action. So the leg comes around to the front, the leg comes around to the back. I'm kind of a fan of actually doing both legs at the same time. So both arms rather. Oh, both legs would be fun, wouldn't it? Both arms. So when we're out here, we can do both arms as well. And then when we do the sagittal plane, let's do both arms as well. Right? So there's a rotational action here. You could take all of these directions and work them in a little bit more of a challenge. So if you're doing working through the sagittal plane of motion, reaching forward, you can just make the action bigger. You can reach down to touch the floor, come up, and you'll see that your body will compensate. There's sort of, your weight has to shift, your bottom leg foot will have to find its center over and over again. You can do from the frontal plane, arms out, leg moving out to the side and across. You can come out further, and then come across, and come out further, and come across. And you can challenge yourself and see what feels comfortable. You feel your body will compensate. You want to make sure your knee is right over your toe, right? So you want to be aware of that. And you can also touch down, which is kind of a middle ground, reaching out to touch down, right? Or you can keep the foot off the floor altogether. When you do your rotational movement, you would touch down behind you. Ooh, I'm getting a challenge now. Touch down behind you, reach around, and touch down, and reach around, and touch down, and reach around, and touch down. So, just to recap, today we looked at a few things to help your balance. We looked at aligning the body. We looked at a few exercises to strengthen the core. You want to use your core specifically. And then also proprioception training, right? So doing things to challenge your balance. We'll take just a moment to address, if you're working in a more advanced practice, how do you apply this, all of this, to your inversion practice. We looked at a little bit what happens in the feet, right? This sort of wobble that happens where you're finding your balance. We talked briefly about how when you have the back leg energized, you have your core energized, you have your shape of your body really active. That really helps. So when it comes to inversion practice, you want to find that energy in the body. And you can find that in Tadasana as you're standing. And when you go to do your inversion practice, I'll adjust our mat a little bit. You're going to feel that wobble that happens with the feet. You're going to try to work a little bit of that in the hands or the forearms, right? So you'll start to feel, once you get a sense for your center of gravity sort of stacking up in your alignment, right? Alignment first, right? Lining up your spheres. Then you're going to feel where that proprioception has to kick in. And of course you're using your core. Right? So let's try handstand for a second. You're going to ground your hands about a foot away from the wall. You'll start with one foot forward, one leg back. And we're going to start by working our loft lift practice. So the back leg is energetically straight. And you're going to just lift that back leg up as high as you can and keep it straight. You're going to stack your shoulders up over your wrists, belly firm. And as you lift that leg up, you'll start to work a light hop on the bottom foot and work on first a soft landing. So hop, land, land, lift, hop, land, land. You'll find at a certain point that you can stack your shoulders over your wrists with your belly firm. You can find where your hips, your pelvis, can stack over your ribs as well. And at that point, you'll start to feel a little lightness, and you can play with that a little bit. Right? The more you energize that top leg, that's going to help too. You still want to work that soft landing. When you get up in your balance, then you can start to play. You might work with the wall to find your balance, or you might not. You might just try to keep working, playing with stacking. But then you're just going to come off the wall a little bit, and you'll find that you have that same play in your hands. Once you feel that core, once you feel the energy in those legs, you find that play in the hands. And that's how you can apply all of what we've spoken about today to cultivating and growing your inversion practice as well. So I thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that this has been helpful. If you appreciate this information, then feel free to share it with your friends. Come and see us here at the Sannyasa Yoga Studio. Work with our expert teachers. And enjoy your yoga practice. And moreover, enjoy good, strong balance for many, many, many years to come. Thank you so much. Namaste.